on the 9th annual Total Theater Tony Show. Happy to have so many critics weighing in with their picks and their predictions for the Tony Awards. Now, of course, there are a bunch of other awards in New York for New York theater, like the Outer Critics Circle and the New York Drama Critics Circle, and then there's also a very major one called the Drama Desk. The president of the Drama Desk, Isa Goldberg, is with us on the phone. She's also a theater critic for the Broadway channel on cable TV and the chief theater critic for TheaterLife.com. She's Isa Goldberg. She's on the phone with us now. Welcome, Isa.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Great. Now, you were at the Drama Desk Awards. What were a couple of quick highlights?
There were some really great picks this year. I think one of the highlights was the award for outstanding music that went to David Byrne and Fatboy Slim for Here Lies Love, which is really an exciting new musical at the Public Theater that has a disco-like atmosphere, but has an intense political subject, which is the Marcos administration in the Philippines, how it fell and what followed. Really an exciting and experimental new musical in many respects. That show also won awards for lighting and projection at the Drama Desk Awards. We had a great pick also for Outstanding Revival, which, if you haven't seen it, is a terrifically funny show called Old Hats with our favorite, Bill Irwin, and his cohort,
David Shiner.
David Shiner. Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
And they've worked together many times in the past, but they're reunited here. Our choices in the Best Actor category were not for everybody's favorite movie star, Tom Hanks. He's a lovely, lovely man. He does a lovely job in Lucky Guy. But that award went to, I think, the most deserving actor, who is Tracy Letts in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Cool. And can I ask, Isa, what might be a memory you'll keep from the ceremony itself, like from the speeches or whoever?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite moment was when Andrea Martin won for Best Featured Actress in a Musical, and Steve Martin, who had been nominated for Best Music in a Play, As You Like It, was sitting in the audience, saw Andrea get on stage to grab her trophy, and followed her right up to the podium and tried to grab her Drama Desk trophy from her, and she held on firmly. So it was a good comedic moment and a great fun shot of Steve Martin with Andrea Martin.
Well, I'm sorry I missed, of course, the Drama Desk, but I'm glad it seems like a great time. But now we have to get to our categories of this year's Tony Awards for Broadway shows. So, Isa will be talking first about Featured Actor in a Play, and the nominees are Danny Burstein for Golden Boy, Richard Kind in The Big Knife, Billy Magnuson for Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, Tony Shalhoub in Golden Boy, and Courtney B. Vance from Lucky Guy. Isa, your thoughts on Featured Actor in a Play?
This is really a tough category, I gotta say. Some of them might be a little bit more clear-cut, but this one's going to be tough because, first place, we have two actors from one show, and it's a much-beloved show. I think one of the better revivals of the season, and by that I mean it was a great revival, really, of a wonderful show, Golden Boy. Those two actors are Tony Shalhoub and Danny Burstein. So while I think Burstein is sort of generally favored by the Tonys, I think the two of them could wipe each other out. Mm-hmm. The actor who won in that category at Drama Desk was Richard Kind for The Big Knife. Interestingly, three of the nominated actors in this category are in Clifford Odets' plays, Golden Boy and Richard Kind in The Big Knife. I would favor Richard Kind. I think it's the broadest performance. I think he shows the greatest curve to a character from being, an ingratiating good guy, Hollywood's biggest producer, to a really Machiavellian and ruthless, disdainful character. And he plays it broadly. It's a big part, and he's one of the highlights, I think, in that show that unfortunately didn't get the best reviews. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if a dark horse candidate didn't get the award this year, and that would be Courtney B. Vance in Lucky Guy. It's a very strong performance by Vance. It's a fairly understated role. He's both the narrator of the show, which is, of course, about the world of newspaper hers back in the day, and particularly, of course, about the primary character, Mike McAlery, who was a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, played by Tom Hanks. The play isn't Ephron's most engaging, although it's typical of her work. It's kind of lighthearted, character-driven story. I don't think Tom Hanks is going to win this year. Perhaps Courtney B. Vance, who's been nominated a few times for Tony Awards in the past, might have a shot.
Are you a Tony voter?
I am not a Tony voter. If I were a Tony voter, I'd vote for Richard Kind. But I'm imagining here there could be an underdog winner or a dark horse who emerges just because it's a tight competition. Tony Shalhoub, we all know and love from Monk on television, plays kind of a kitschy role in Golden Boy. He's an old Italian father, speaks with a fairly broken English. He's great at the role, and he does it in an understated way, but it's hard to depart from the realization that it's a really kitschy role. Mm-hmm. Danny Burstein is also in Golden Boy. He plays the boxer's trainer, and again, he underplays it very well, but it's not a very big role, so it's hard to imagine him really winning this time around. He's also been nominated many times, and I think he's favored, so I wouldn't be surprised if he were to win. One actor I don't think stands a chance for this is Billy Magnuson in Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, but he'll have so many chances in life just because he's so damn gorgeous that I don't think anybody's going to be crying if he doesn't walk away with the trophy.
People will walk away with him as a trophy, basically. I think.
That's true.
And it's a prize to have Isa Goldberg with us in the neighborhood for the Total Theater Tony Show. We also want you to weigh in just for a little bit about the revival category of a play. And those contenders include Golden Boy, speaking of contenders, Orphans, The Trip to Bountiful, and Edward Albee's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Your thoughts on who will win, whom you hope will win? Go for it, Isa.
You know, I think that Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf will win. This is a case where, while the show is produced on Broadway, it really started out as regional theater. So to call it a Broadway show, well, it is a show on Broadway, but it's not produced with any Broadway stars, which, of course, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is known for its star actors like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. But this production really is close to the bone of Albee's work in a way that I've never seen before. Pam McKinnon, who directed it, has done a brilliant directing job. Tracy Letts is a phenomenal George. He really is the primary mover and shaker in this production. It's he who really brays and takes control. So it's interesting to see this interpretation, which I believe is more than interpretation. I think it gets as close to what Albee is writing and wanted to say as anyone ever has. The Trip to Bountiful is a kind of an historical event because Cicely Tyson hasn't appeared on Broadway for so many decades. Various pundits have tried to determine her age, and the range is anywhere from 79 to 88. I'm inclined to think 88 is quite the truth. So if you don't get to see Cicely Tyson in The Trip to Bountiful, you may never get to see her on the Broadway again. And in this play, she is heart-rendingly beautiful. I just can't tell you how much I appreciated her performance. Again, a great cast. Vanessa
Williams, yeah.
Williams plays a nasty daughter-in-law, but she does a terrific job at it. Of course, she's so gorgeous, it doesn't hurt to see her anywhere. And Condola Rashad is brilliant as a young woman who sort of engages Cicely Tyson's character in drawing her back to her youth, so to speak. We've spoken a bit about Golden Boy, and that he is a much-loved revival of Odette's play, and very well done. I think they captured the atmosphere of the time very well, the struggles that are at the root of both Golden Boy and The Big Knife about success versus art, the aspiration for wealth versus human experience, which are pertinent Odette's themes. The one revival that I really felt totally missed the boat was Orphans, which I saw in New York originally, again, a regional production that started at Steppenwolf. It nomination for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role. That was Tom Sturridge. Probably that's quite a surprise. Anyone would have thought that Alec Baldwin would have walked away with a Tony nod for this, but he hasn't. Tom Sturridge plays a very showy kind of role. It's a very physically active role, and it's a very odd character. So it's understandable that he got the nomination, but again, as a revival, I don't think Orphans holds candle to the other three shows.
Do you think that the Tony for Best Revival will go to Wolf, or would Golden Boy be a dark horse?
In this case, I would say not necessarily dark horse. It might even be favored by some of the pundits.
Oh.
Virginia Woolf definitely would be my pick. I don't see the Tonys turning it down.
Last quick question for Isa Goldberg here on the Total Theater Tony Show. What was your very favorite show, on or off Broadway, of the whole season?
Gosh, well, I have to say that one of the most moving shows I saw was at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, which falls into sort of the off-Broadway category, I gather.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called The Suit, directed by Peter Brook. It
Yeah.
involves a song and a great deal of pantomime. It's done with very few props, but it's a story of a marital infidelity between a husband and wife in South Africa during apartheid. It's a very poetic piece, I have to say. It was just beautiful theater. What I found most exciting on Broadway, it was Richard Greenberg's new play, Assembled Parties, which I think is a wonderful play in and of itself. And I loved all of the actors in it. I thought were very strong. Judith Light is nominated for feature actor, but I thought Jessica Hecht, who didn't get a single Tony nod nor Drama Desk nod, was really very, very outstanding in her role as well, and she's the lead. Jeremy Shamos comes out very strongly here as well, and an actor who you may not know about, but he does interesting work, Mark Blum, played a very kind of disgusting character in the play, and he did it in a very subtle kind of way.
Actually, we think he's disgusting, and yet, as another critic has weighed in, he might also be in some ways the hero of the whole piece. And nobody on stage realizes it. It's only the audience that ultimately discovers, oh, my gosh, what he did was a very nice thing, but nobody else knows,
It's absolutely true. That's a very good point.
It's been a delight talking with Isa Goldberg of the Drama Desk about the Tonys. I just want to wish you continued success with all your work and with the Drama Desk, and having a great 2013-2014 season. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure as always, and I'll look forward to hearing the results of the awards as much as you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.